together, neither one of us could remember the name of the government department that we had worked in. But you know, if you breathe deeply and think slowly, it comes back to you. It was the Department of Lands and Forests. And we worked there for a couple of years. We were both working on the bookkeeping machines, which were very innovative. Computer. I think we must have been among the vanguard of the computer, what do you call them, techies now, because these bookkeeping machines, for anybody that's ever used them, are fantastic. At least I thought so. Later on I discovered electric erasers and things like that, but this electronic bookkeeping machine was really the latest in technology in the 1950s. And we worked in Tibet in those days. And so we and I think two other people, I can only remember the name of one other person. We went on that midnight train, and it was fun. There were loads of other young people on the train, and we sang. We did not drink, I have to tell you that. We were not drinkers. But we ended up in Banff sort of in the early morning and had to look for a place to stay. And well, no, we didn't. We ended up in somebody's converted garage because we didn't have the forethought to look ahead. I mean, you know, talk about innocence abroad. But anyway, we did. We ended up in this sort of converted garage, which was quite comfy. And we really had fun. There was a big dance at the hall in Banff, right, Helen? I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I remember dancing. And in terms of what other activities were there for the Winter Festival, I can't tell you now, except that there were ice sculptures and things like that. But the big thing for us, though, was to actually take that train to get there. It was really an adventuresome thing to do in the 1950s. And anyway, at the dance hall, we met some very nice young men who had come down from Edmonton by car. So we never did take the train home. We got rides. That was one of the first journeys I had with Helen. The next one took place a few years later when she had 2 children and I had 3. And I had come back to Edmonton from Ottawa. And our kids had taken up skiing. I think Susan was a great downhill skier. My kids had just learned to do cross-country skiing, but already had found it too tame. So we decided to spend Christmas in Jasper. And we booked our motels, Helen with her 3, me with 2 rather, me with my 3, and another family with 2 children. And the other family drove, again, we went by public transport on the bus. And you should have seen the bus driver's face when 5 pairs of skis, all other kinds of equipment, all had to go inside the Greyhound bus to get us to Jasper. And we did get there. And we did have a good Christmas there. We cooked a turkey in the hotel. And do you remember, Susan?
Yes, I do. I remember. Yeah.
The Christmas tree out of the
school. Yeah, we stole the tree from the school. Well, it was you know, they had discarded, school was out, so they didn't need it anymore. So we took it to our hotel room.
first recycling.
Thank you. Yeah, remember that, Ariel, will you? That we were among the vanguard of Christmas tree recyclers. And we decorated it with whatever we had, and we skied. Susan and a couple of my kids and Rob, I think, all did the downhill stuff. And Helen and I did the cross-country skiing. And I remember falling off and not being able to get back up again. And thinking, you know, just go and save yourselves. Leave me here. But I did eventually manage to roll over. And how many other people cross-country ski? Or used to? A lot. Well, if you're only just learning, you know, you fall down. How in the heck do you get up? Anyway, we did. And we had a very good Christmas that year.
It was a progressive dinner.
A progressive dinner in the various motel units that we shared.
One of our girlfriend's husband was sick with pneumonia, and he shouldn't have really been there, but he went.
So that was the next journey Helen and I took together. And then a couple of years later, I think for Thanksgiving we decided we would go down to Drumheller. So we had 3 carloads of us, and again the turkey plays a great role in our lives. We cooked a turkey and took it for Thanksgiving dinner down and had a picnic down in Drumheller. And that was the only time I've ever been to Drumheller. And you were on that one too, Susan, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so those were some of the journeys I've taken with Helen, and we've had good times together. I think part of our memories of each other are of being young.
The story I found interesting at that time is Jill would come back with her 2 children, and they were really beautifully dressed. And she didn't admit that her marriage was kind of on the rocks, and so was mine, because we were both putting forth such a good effort to carry on.
Yeah, well, I do remember that occasion, and I wasn't going to mention it, but since you do, hey, I'm a sensitive person. No, I remember coming back and going to have lunch at Helen's house when she was still married, and looking around the table and thinking how solid everything was, and how nice. Knowing that my own marriage was a bit shaky, so I was very envious of hers. And 2 years later, I was separated from my husband and came back to Alberta, only to discover that Helen was too. So sometimes the surface is not all that it appears to be. Anyway, Helen, it's been a lovely, 55 years or so that we've known each other, and I hope it will continue for another, well, not 55, obviously.
Story. Okay, well, Helen has a few words that she'd like to say to us.
Well, thank you very much for coming, my family and friends, for sharing this special birthday. And since my siblings are in PEI in Nova Scotia, they're not able to be here. But they send love and good wishes. So I wanted to thank my cousin Jean for coming, who is probably the only relative here other than my daughter and granddaughter.
Not my fault, they all live away.
Jean lives away over on the south side, so she has a bit of trouble getting to St. Albert, I guess.
Not today.
My friend Betty, who Betty Murray is from PEI, and I met her as a funny coincidence too. I was coming back from PEI, and we were both landed in Halifax. And I was looking kind of sad, and she was looking kind of sad, and she said, well, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to Edmonton. She said, I'm going there too. And she said, actually, you'll go to St. Albert. So we think we went to school together, but we can't quite remember. I have been blessed with many dear friends who are always so willing to help out. When I went on oxygen 3.5 years ago, everybody was so helpful to me. I've overcome that obstacle of a driver's license. Thanks to Joanne. Joanne's behind here. She took me for driving lessons, and I had to learn to parallel park all over. And the silly lady didn't even ask me to do it, so. And since that time, I'm on a yearly basis for my driver's license. And she politely asks me when I go in, she'll say, have you had your road test? And I answer yes. But she didn't ask me when I had it. And I don't tell her. So yes, Joanne was so patient with me. And it's wonderful to have my daughter Susan here. My granddaughter Sharon. And they just came in last night, so it's been a bit hectic at the house. And in the meantime, I put my house up for sale. And I've had realtors phoning. They wanted to come this morning at 9:30. So to walk through, I said, forget it. But there was a guy came just before I got down here, and that's why I was a bit late. So a special thank you to Sandra, who organized this hula party. It was wonderful. How did we manage without this technology? because Sandra's been down in Seattle for nearly a month. But she still carried on and arranged all this. And every so often she breezed into town and she would help me sort out my mess and declutter my house. And this morning I was still hiding things. So planning this, I decided to make the big move by selling my condo. And I'm moving into River Ridge. So I will be on the 4th floor in River Ridge, where the Palmerys are. To the change, it's going to be different, but I could sell my house, sell my car, but I can keep my cat.